Good evening and welcome to One Angry Black Republican podcast, the podcast where morality checks extremism. Well, today's podcast, season 2, episode 12, is dedicated to Bryant, our sister who just lost her life at the hands of a police officer in Columbus, Ohio. And this month I'm doing a poetry series dedicated to Bryant, which I'm going to on a daily basis for the next 30 days. I'll be posting on my Facebook page tribute poems to our sister who lost her life, our teenager who lost our life, our child that lost her life. Okay. Now, this case was very polarizing in the black community because, there are a lot of black people, and I'm going to be very specific, the black bourgeoisie in our country, in many ways, because of the resources they've been able to acquire in this country, they tend to be soft on exploitation, oppression, okay, constantly making, justification for, the egregious actions perpetrated against black people, by cases pointing the finger at the community, okay, as opposed to the system. The system always gets away. Okay, so, but in this particular case, the police department in Columbus, Ohio, rushing to release body cam footage, which I thought was a remarkable moment of stupidity, because ultimately, it's like, if you really cared about that family that just lost a child, you learned that you shot the child who actually called the police. You learned, and after the fact, that she was being bullied. You learned it, and then she loses her life because you pumped 4 shots into that child's body, and now everyone's rushing to have sympathy for you. The officer in the midst of this chaos and this, war is going on, and, this trained officer, officers are trained to be calm in, situations of chaos, so this trained officer, comes onto a fight scene, where a bunch of teenagers are fighting. These are teenagers, a bunch of teenagers are fighting, and he sees one girl with a blade and, got the girl hemmed up against the car, and he puts 4 shots in the child's body, claiming he's protecting the other young lady from losing her life. So he took a life. You could have done a million to get a shot in the butt. You could have did a million things. One, we have to stop training these officers to execute people, period. Okay, because, with that kind of discretion, they're executing us. They're taking us out. That's who they're executing. So, and I'm not saying that, even though I do believe that if this was a white community and that girl was white and she was a 16-year-old kid, with a knife trying to stab another kid, that officer would have thought twice about putting 4 shots in her body. Okay, he would have thought twice. He probably wouldn't have done that. I don't think he would have done that. But again, that's an opinion. Okay? And this is One Angry Black Republican's response. But ultimately, we are faced with a dilemma in our culture. And the dilemma is, we are living amongst an oppressor, who is hell-bent on taking us, who's hell-bent on taking us out, showing that our bodies have no value to them, because we can't have no value if you take us out so callously, and, the tell-all is the release of the video. Like, you didn't go to that family. You didn't think to, once you found out the circumstances, you didn't think to go to that family to apologize, for the harsh extreme action. You don't, at least just to say, let's bring you into the fold so we could discuss this together. You go rush to putting the video out so you can get public opinion and the side of the public on your side, not thinking about the fact that this, there's a fresh wound in the black community that has just been opened up. A fresh wound in our community has just been opened up. And we just lost another sister, another black body dropping, to an oppressor that takes us out with reckless abandon. How long do we have to go through this as a people? Okay, and it's going to be a polarizing situation because, the black community is split on this one. There's a whole cachet of black people who, believe his actions are justified in taking that young girl's life. Oh, if it was your daughter, what would you do? Would you want the officer to protect? First of all, I would pray that my daughter isn't reckless, or my daughters aren't that reckless, okay, to put themselves in situations. They're not teenagers. They're young ladies. They're adults, okay. But if it was one of my children and my child, was bullying people and walking around town, I would pray that, that behavior in that moment, would not have led to her losing her life. Of course, who would want that? But if my child, was the aggressor in this situation, so I'm being asked, I would not want a police officer coming on that scene, gunning down another young lady. I would like him to shoot her in the leg, move her off of, some way, shape, form, or fashion, as opposed to taking her life. He took that girl's life. She'll never get that life. She's gone forever. You got to be more than just a fight to take a person's life forever. I'm sorry. Okay? And that blade wasn't justifiable enough to commit a killing. I'm not going to say homicide. I'm not going to say murder, even though in my heart of hearts, this man murdered a child. He murdered a child, and I want to see him held accountable to that. I do. It is unfortunate that, we have, to deal with the continued, lapse in judgment that comes with an oppressor, who's hell-bent on taking us out. It is unfortunate that our culture had to deal with that. But I'm on the side of the people who believe that this officer was in the wrong on this one. I'm on their side today. So, tonight I'm going to be, doing a candlelight vigil, personal candlelight vigil. I don't do things for the broadcast public, just to be doing it. But I am going to do a broadcast tonight. I mean, a vigil, light a candle at about 8, and I'm going to play some meditation music for about an hour every night this month in commemoration to Bryant. And I'm hoping other people join. You don't have to publicize it or broadcast it. You just got to do it. Okay? But, we're going to be seeking justice this month and beyond, for our sister, our child, Bryant. Okay, so, and we're going to hope, to convince others to move in that direction as well. Because it's high time we start pushing toward this idea of a unified front. Okay, we're dealing with an oppressor who's never going to give up. He's like the Terminator. He's never going to give up. He's never going to get tired of taking us out. Which means we have got to form a unified block against the oppression and the terrorism that our people have been facing. Okay? With that being said, again, rest in peace, Bryant. This is a 12th episode of One Angry Black Republican. And today I just wanted to make that point known in my rant. This podcast today is going to be a little shorter than usual because part of the time I'm going to be praying, for our sister. This is B with One Angry Black Republican podcast where morality checks extremism. And I'm out. Peace.